Let me just start off by saying this. I don't like Dana White, and I certainly don't like Oscar De La Hoya. I don't like neither one of these guys. All right. But this is just conjecture. This is my theory. And I'm going to tell you why I have this theory. Okay. Just uh, for you guys to get a better understanding. For one, if you guys have followed me for any significant amount of time, you know that boxing is my favorite sport. And this past weekend's fight with Canelo and Chavez Jr. Right? It was a one-sided, glorified sparring match. We saw the fight. All right. Well, at least I saw the fight. But also when I say we, the pay-per-view numbers was actually pretty damn good. Over 1 million buys. That's pretty damn good. But I came to the conclusion or the theory that Oscar De La Hoya is trying to destroy Dana White in the UFC. Because here's the thing, right? Dana White has been critical of boxing for quite some time. All right. Always, talked about boxing is dead and, there's no matches in boxing. We know this guy is a fan of boxing. This is where he started from. So he is a fan of boxing. Okay. He's a fan, bottom line. But he does criticize it because he is the UFC president and that kind of stuff. But this guy is overly critical of boxing, the sport, even though he is the UFC go-to guy for everything because he makes more money than any UFC fighter. And he's just a damn worker, right? He's not out there, taking punches and wrestling like Conor McGregor, who's making way more less money than Dana White. But, I go on his Instagram and I saw stories from shout out to Boxing Ego and Dante's Boxing Nation. They talk about some of the things that Dana White has said about, boxing and stuff like that. And, on his Instagram a couple weeks back, he mentioned that, as you can see here, boxing has been dying, waiting for an exciting heavyweight champ. Now they have it in Anthony Joshua. Congrats, champ. Right? That's from his verified Instagram page. Now, week later, and to me, this year for boxing, 2017 has been a phenomenal year. One of the best years that I can remember. A lot of people say that this is the best year they have ever experienced in boxing, but this is one of those years. Like every week or every other week, you see a top-notch fight. Nothing that UFC can compare to. Anthony Joshua versus Klitschko a couple of weeks back, record-breaking numbers, 90,000 people in attendance. You name me a UFC fight that had 90,000 people in attendance. It doesn't exist. But so back to this particular this post by Dana White. Dana White got invited to the Oscar De La Hoya promoted Canelo versus Chavez Jr. fight, as you can see here. Thanks, Oscar De La Hoya. I am pumped for Canelo Chavez Jr. See you tomorrow. Now, why would Oscar De La Hoya invite Dana White to watch a boxing match? Well, number one, he knows that he's a fan of the sport. He's a fan of the sport, no matter how critical you think he is, or et cetera, et cetera. He's a fan of the sport, number one. All right, and that's the first thing. But here's where this thing comes into play, right? He watched the match. He was there in person. And when Oscar De La Hoya invited Dana White to the boxing match, he wanted Dana White to see the product firsthand, his product firsthand, right? What he promotes, what Oscar De La Hoya promotes. Excuse me. Now, coupled with the fact that he already had the fight for Canelo versus Triple G in place. That was already in the works. He already had the date set for September. He knew, Oscar De La Hoya knew that the fight between Mayweather versus McGregor was supposed to be set in September of this year. He knew that. But that date was already there for Canelo versus Triple G. And so once the fight between Chavez Jr. and Canelo was over, Triple G got on stage and they started to promote the fight between Triple G and Canelo, set for September. All right. Dana White was there. And Dana White admitted in an interview that the date for September between Mayweather and Mayweather and Conor McGregor is already taken, is already booked. So he can't use that date. Can't use that date. Right? So not only that, I'm going to play a quick interview between De La Hoya, what he talked about between the fight of McGregor and Mayweather. I'm going to play this quick so you guys can understand what I'm talking about. Here we go.
I think it's all just publicity. I have no idea if they're talking about fighting in the ring or fighting in the octagon. If they do fight in the ring, I think Mayweather would just outbox Conor McGregor because McGregor has never fought past 5 rounds. So he doesn't know what it's like to go 12 rounds. It's a whole different sport. I think if Floyd decides to fight in the octagon, he'll probably be tapped out in 30 seconds. So do I think this fight will ever happen? I don't know, but it's definitely creating a lot of noise.
All right. So that's what he thinks about the fight between McGregor and Mayweather. Okay? That's what he thinks. He thinks it's an absolute spectacle, a joke, shouldn't be taken seriously. So that's just my theory right there, family. That's my theory. I've already talked about how I feel about Oscar De La Hoya. I think he's a reject white supremacist. I think Dana White is a suspected white supremacist. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about strictly the business aspect of UFC and boxing right now. That's what I'm talking about. And looking at this from my perspective in terms of why Oscar De La Hoya will invite Dana White to his boxing match to sit there right after the fight and watch a promo of Canelo versus Triple G in September of this year, knowing that, Dana White was working with Mayweather and Conor McGregor to get a date in a venue for that particular month of September. He knew that, and he took that date in that month. Right? So that's just my theory as far as what Oscar De La Hoya is trying to do with Dana White. I think he's trying to destroy the fight between Mayweather and McGregor. He doesn't care for it. And he's trying to make sure that boxing is on top. And listen, I'm a boxing fan, #1 guy. And I kind of like this shit. I do. I like this shit. So we'll see what happens. Will Mayweather and McGregor have another date? I've heard people talking about October, November. We'll see. But Oscar doesn't think too highly of it, right? And family, it is what it is. We've seen just great boxing matches this year so far, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon. So I'm looking forward to more fights this year. We got who we got coming up? We got Errol Spence versus Kell Brooks coming up. Looking forward to that fight. And we got the rematch of Andre Ward. All right. And that fight between Andre Ward versus what's the guy's name he's fighting? I can't think of the Russian guy's name. Drawing a blank here. Too early in the morning. Andre Ward versus Kovalev. There you go. See, I can't remember shit because there's so much stuff in my mind. Versus Kovalev in May, or actually June. Yeah, June. So I'm looking forward to that fight. But like I said, those are my thoughts on that. My theory, just conjecture. I don't usually talk about a lot of theories, but this was in my mind, and I wanted to share with you guys. So let me know what you guys think about that. Do you think Oscar is trying to oust Dana White and the fight between Mayweather and Conor McGregor? Let me know your thoughts down below, family. Till next time, Chauncey, a.k.a. The Black Separatist, signing out. Peace.